Hi, my loves. Welcome back to Marin Thorne Studio. I'm Marin Thorne, and bringing another one of my books into the rotation. So far, we have readings from Den of Vipers, A Court of Silver Flames, and I'm going to add, you probably can guess it, Crescent City to the list. So, as I always say, don't you fret, my pet. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, so you just sit back, relax, and we're going to do a short reading. And I hope you enjoy. The pack of devils was already in her apartment by the time Bryce got home from work. It had been impossible to miss the roaring laughter that met her before she'd even cleared the second floor stairwell landing, as well as the canine yips of amusement. Both had continued as she ascended the remaining level of the walk-up apartment building, during which time Bryce grumbled to herself about her plans for a quiet evening on the couch having been ruined. Chanting a string of curses that would make her mother proud, Bryce unlocked the blue-painted iron door to the apartment, bracing for the onslaught of lupine bossiness, arrogance, and general noisiness in all matters of her life. And that was just Danica. Danica's pack made each of those things an art form, mostly because they claimed Bryce as one of their own, even if she didn't bear the tattoo of their sigil down the side of her neck. Sometimes she felt bad for Danica's future mate, whoever that would be. The poor bastard wouldn't know what hit him when he bound himself to her, unless he was wolf-kind himself, though Danica had about as much interest in sleeping with a wolf as Bryce did. And that is to say, not a god's damn shred. Giving the door a good shove with her shoulder, its warped edges got stuck more often than not, mostly thanks to the romping of the hellions currently spread across the several sagging couches and armchairs. Bryce sighed as she found 6 pairs of eyes fixed on her, and 6 grins. "How was the game?" she asked no one in particular, chucking her keys into the lopsided ceramic bowl Danica had half-assed during a fluffy pottery course in college. She heard nothing from Danica regarding the Briggs meeting beyond a general, "I'll tell you when you get home." It couldn't have been that bad if Danica had made it to the sunball game. She'd even sent Bryce a photo of the whole pack in front of the field, with Ethan, a small, helmeted figure in the background. A message from the star player himself popped up later. "Next time, you better be with them, Quinlan." She'd written back, "Did baby pup miss me?" "You know it," Ethan had answered. "We won," Connor drawled from where he lounged on her favorite spot on the couch. His gray CCU sunball t-shirt rumpled enough to reveal the cut of muscle and golden skin. "Ethan scored the winning goal," Bronson said, still wearing a blue and silver jersey with Hallstrom on the back. Connor's little brother, Ethan, held an unofficial membership in the Pack of Devils. Ethan also happened to be Bryce's second favorite person after Danica. Their message chain was an endless stream of snark and teasing, swapped photos, and good-natured grousing about Connor's bossiness. "Again?" Bryce asked, kicking off her 4-inch pearl white heels. "Can't Ethan share some of the glory with the other boys?" Normally, Ethan would have been sitting right on the couch beside his brother, forcing Bryce to wedge herself between them while they watched whatever was on TV. But on game nights, he usually opted to party with the teammates. A half smile tugged at a corner of Connor's mouth as Bryce held his stare for longer than most people considered wise. His 5 packmates, 2 still in wolf form with bushy tails swishing, wisely kept their mouths and maws shut. It was common knowledge that Connor would have been alpha of the Pack of Devils if Danica weren't around. But Connor didn't resent it. His ambitions didn't run that way. Unlike Sabine's. Bryce nudged her backup dance bag over on the coat rack to make room for her purse and asked the wolves, "What are you watching tonight?" Whatever it was, she had already decided to curl up with a romance novel in her room, with the door shut. Natalie, flipping through celebrity gossip magazines on the couch, didn't lift her head as she answered. Some new legal procedural about a pack of lions taking on an evil Fae corporation." "Sounds like a real award winner," Bryce said. Bronson grunted his disapproval. The massive male's taste skewed more toward art house flicks and documentaries. Unsurprisingly, he was never allowed to select entertainment for the pack night. Connor ran a calloused finger down the rolled arm of the couch. "You're home late." "I have a job," Bryce said. "You might want to get one. Stop being a leech on my couch." This wasn't exactly fair. As Danica's second, Connor acted as her enforcer. To keep the city safe, he'd killed, tortured, maimed, and then gone back out and done it again before the moon had even set. He never complained about it. None of them did. "What's the point in bitching?" Danica had said when Bryce asked how she endured the brutality. "When there's no choice in joining the auxiliary?" The predator-born shifters were destined for certain ox packs before they were even born. Bryce tried not to glance at the horned wolf tattoo on the side of Connor's neck. Proof of that predestined lifetime of service. Of his eternal loyalty to Danica, the pack of devils, and the ox. Connor just looked Bryce over with that half smile. It set her teeth to grinding. "Danica's in the kitchen, eating half of the pizza before we can get a bite." "I am not," was the muffled reply. Connor's smile grew. Bryce's breathing turned a shade uneven at that smile, the wicked light in his eyes. The rest of the pack remained dutifully focused on the television screen, pretending to watch the nightly news. Swallowing, Bryce asked, "Anything I should know?" Translation. Was the Briggs meeting a disaster? Connor knew what she meant. He always did. He jerked his head to the kitchen. "You'll see." Translation. Not great. Bryce winced and managed to tear her gaze away from him so she could pad into the galley kitchen. She felt Connor stare on her every step of the way. And maybe she swished her hips. Only a tiny bit. Danica was indeed shoveling a slice down her throat, her eyes wide in warning for Bryce to keep her mouth shut. Bryce noted the unspoken plea and merely nodded. A half-empty bottle of beer dripped condensation onto the white plastic counter Danica leaned against. Her borrowed silk shirt damp with sweat around the collar. Her braid drooped over her slim shoulder, the few colorful streaks unusually muted. Even her pale skin, unusually flushed with color and health, seemed ashen. Granted, the crappy kitchen lighting, 2 meager recessed orbs of first light, wasn't exactly favorable to anyone, but beer, food, the pack keeping their distance, and that hollow weariness in her friend's eyes. Yeah, some shit had gone down in that meeting. Bryce tugged open the fridge, grabbing a beer for herself. The pack had all different preferences, and were prone to coming over whenever they felt like it, so the fridge was crammed with bottles and cans and what she could have sworn was a jug of mead? Must be Bronson's. Bryce grabbed one of Natalie's favorites, a cloudy, milky-tasting beer, heavy on the hops, and twisted off the top. Briggs. Officially released, Micah, the Autumn King, and the Oracle poured over every law and bylaw and still couldn't find a way around that damn loophole. Rune even had Declan run some of his fancy tech searches and found nothing. Sabine ordered the Sith Moon Pack to watch Briggs tonight, along with some of the 33rd. The packs had mandatory nights off once a week, and this was the pack of devils. No negotiating. Otherwise, Bryce knew Danica would be out there, watching Briggs' every move. "So you're all in agreement," Bryce said. "At least that's good." "Yeah, until Briggs blows something or someone up." Danica shook her head with disgust. "It's fucking bullshit." Bryce studied her friend carefully, the tension around her mouth, her sweaty neck. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." The words were spoken too quickly to be believable. "Look, something's been eating at you. Shit like this with Briggs is big, but you always bounce back." Bryce narrowed her eyes. "What aren't you telling me?" Danica's eyes gleamed. Nothing. She swigged her beer. There was only one other answer. I take it Sabine was in rare form this afternoon. Danica just tore into her pizza. Bryce swallowed 2 mouthfuls of beer, watching Danica blankly consider the teal cabinets above the counter, the paint chipping at the edges. Her friend chewed slowly, then set around a mouthful of bread and cheese. Sabine cornered me after the meeting, right in the hall outside Micah's office. So, everyone could hear her tell me that 2 CCU research students got killed near Luna's temple last week during the blackout. My shift, my section, my fault. Bryce winced. It took a week to hear about this? Apparently. Who killed them? Crescent City University students were always out in the old square, always causing trouble. Even as alums, Bryce and Danica often bemoaned the fact that there wasn't a sky-high electric fence penning CCU students into their corner of the city, just to keep them from puking and pissing all over the old square every Friday night and Sunday morning. Danica drank again. No clue who did it. A shiver, her caramel eyes darkening. Even with their sense marking them as human, it took 20 minutes to identify who they were. They were ripped to shreds and partially eaten. Bryce tried not to imagine it. Motive? Danica's throat bobbed. No idea either. But Sabine told me, in front of everyone, exactly what she thought of such a public butchering happening on my watch. Bryce asked, "What did the Prime say about it?" "Nothing," said Danica. The old man fell asleep during the meeting, and Sabine didn't bother to wake him before cornering me. It would be soon now, everyone said. Only a matter of a year or two until the current Prime of the Wolves, nearly 400 years old, had his sailing across the Istros to the Bone Quarter for his final sleep. There was no way the Black Boat would tip for him during the final rite. No way a soul would be deemed unworthy and given to the river. He'd be welcomed into the Under King's realm, granted access to its mist-veiled shores. And then Sabine's reign would begin. God spare them all. "It's not your fault, you know," Bryce said, flipping open the cardboard lids of the 2 closest pizza boxes. Sausage, pepperoni, and meatball in one. The other held cured meats and stinky cheeses. Bronson's choice, no doubt. "I know," Danica muttered, draining the last of her beer, clunking the bottle into the sink, and rooting around in the fridge for another. Every muscle in her lean body seemed taut, on a hair trigger. She slammed the fridge shut and leaned against it. Danica didn't meet Bryce's eyes as she breathed. I was 3 blocks away that night. 3. And I didn't hear or see or smell them being shredded. Bryce became aware of the silence from the other room. Keen hearing in both human and wolf form meant endless, entitled eavesdropping. They could finish this conversation later.